Should you buy a multifamily property solo or in a partnership? I'm going to answer that question today. So I'm Juan Pablo, the CEO and founder of Multifamily Done For You. So let's jump into it. As always, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I always have an acronym. It might be a word that doesn't make any sense, but it just makes it easier to remember. So the acronym is SCIP, S-C-I-P. Let's start with the first letter. S, scaling. Right? You might be wondering, should I buy a deal solo, meaning you own 100% of the deal, equity, profits, cash flow, etc., or a partnership, meaning you're splitting the pie with someone else in terms of acquiring the property, equity, cash flow, etc. Scaling is important because you might be in a market in which it could be expensive, right? Or the inventory may be low. And based upon your affordability, you might be able to control a property in which you can only buy a duplex, right? Now, if you choose to invest in your backyard and based upon your affordability, you can only buy a duplex, you might think that it's to your advantage to do a partnership so that way you can pool resources together, additional investment capital to buy something larger, which will help you scale. So instead of buying a 2-unit by yourself, you might be able to get a 5-unit with partners. So you just have to weigh those decisions, okay, in terms of how large and how fast you want to scale your portfolio, because multifamily investing is the fastest way to financial freedom if that's your goal. So that's the first letter, scale. That's one thing you have to consider. The next thing is the C, control, right? Based upon your personality, your experience, right? You have to ascertain, do you want to just buy properties in which you have all the control, or you're open to, sharing the control. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a thing called general partners and limited partners, in which the general partner pretty much has the responsibility of making the key decisions. The limited partner, as the term suggests, are limited to their amount of investment capital into a deal. So they really don't have decision-making power, right, or control. But if you're that person who says, hey, I want to have control over a deal, then cool. Either A, you can do a deal solo by yourself because you're the sole owner, right? You can do whatever you want with your property. Or B, you can structure a partnership in which you are the general partner who has control, and the other team members, the limited partners, are only limited to their capital invested. They don't have any control in terms of how you manage the property and so forth. But if you choose to be the general partner in a partnership, you better bring that know-how and that experience to the table, because if it's just you being a general partner and you're new with limited partners who are also new, that's a case of the blind leading the blind. And if you're open to that still, make sure you have a solid mentor or guidance in your corner to advise you guys correctly. All right, so that's the S, that's the C. Let's get into the I. The I is the term for income, right? You got to understand, with solo and partnership, it's all about how big of a slice of the pie that you want. For some of you, you say, hey, I'm pretty hungry, man. I want the whole pie to myself. So I'd rather prefer to do a deal solo where I own 100% of the equity so I can get 100% of the income, 100% of the profits, 100% of the cash flow, 100% of the cash out refinance proceeds. And when we sell this bad boy, 100% of the capital gains as well. If that's you, then of course, solo is the better fit. But if you're thinking, well, in fact, I think I can get bigger cash flow, right, if I do a bigger deal with more partners. You just have to weigh it, okay? So there's SCI and the last one is P, pretty simple. What's your preference, right? So after you create some sort of a chart, right, where you log solo versus partnership, let's say on the y-axis and on the x-axis, you can write down those things that I mentioned, if not more, right? It's not limited to what I just shared in this video. Scaling, as well as control, as well as income, your personal preference, because you might have done partnerships in the past in which for other business ventures, right, it just didn't end well for some reason, or there was a power struggle, who knows what happened, and you might not prefer to do partnerships, right? Or you might be in a situation in which you're somewhat timid, not necessarily confident. There's nothing wrong with this, okay, by the way, in which you just don't feel comfortable doing a deal by yourself, and you would rather partner with someone experienced who can hold your hand, show you the ropes from A to Z, and someone who can call those shots because they have the expertise and experience to do so, then a partnership might be a better fit for you until you say, okay, I want to do a few partnerships until I get the hang of things, shadow someone, treat it like an apprenticeship. Then at that point, once I did a deal or two or three, then I can lead into the solo lane. So it's not to say you have to stick to one strategy, solo versus partnership. You can start off one way and then transition to the next way, okay? So you just have to just jot it down, be true to yourself, like what Shakespeare says, to thy own self be true, and then make the decision. Your preference matters. There's no wrong answer. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Now, if you are looking to get started with multifamily investing, first thing you need to do is check the link below in this video and book a discovery call. On that call, we're going to see if we're a good fit for you, you're a good fit for us, to see if we can make the multifamily magic happen. All right, but hey, you don't have to do anything I shared in this video. All I ask is this: just keep coming back. Just keep coming back. All right, just keep coming back. Third time here. So that way you get all the content, understand the lay of the land in terms of the video content of how to actually invest in multifamily real estate. All right, guys, as always, to your success, continue to earn passively, live passionately.